Welcome everyone. Hopefully you've had a great lunch and you're all full of food, drink, and you get the comfortable cinema to sit in, hopefully, for this session with Nicole. So I'll hand it over to you, Nicole. The room is yours. There's a few people still coming in. So just jump in, grab a seat.
Okay.
Right, over to you. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. So I think I will start smoothly. So welcome to my session. We will check if we can build a business application with the Power Platform in less than 30 minutes. So I heard the session is 40 minutes long, so we should make it. And first of all, I want to introduce myself so you know who's talking to you. My name is Nicole Enders. I'm coming from Germany. So as I said, maybe somebody of you heard it, it's rainy outside here, so you have the better place at the moment, be sure. Yeah, and I'm working with SharePoint for a long time, and since a few years, I'm also doing a lot of stuff in Office 365. Nowadays, we talk about Microsoft 365, and I love the Power Platform because we can do so many things with this. I know that mainly during the last year, we had a lot of stuff with Microsoft Teams. So you will see how to integrate such a business application also in Microsoft Teams. Yeah, but if you start with Microsoft 365 and you go to office.com, you may see such a list of apps. And this are a lot of apps there. So you know the standard Office apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. But also there are other apps, and my customers ask me, where should I start? Why do I need all of these tools? I only wanted to have Teams, for example, and now I see a list of all these apps and I don't know what to use and what's too much for me. And I answer, please start with thinking about your use cases. So what is about your daily business, and then choose the right collaboration tools. So, and my main use cases, I start with the most popular one, is, for example, working together on a document. So when I write a document, maybe I have some time where I'm working on my own on this document, but there's always the point where I need some help by one of my colleagues or by multiple colleagues. And if I wouldn't have such tools like SharePoint or OneDrive, what would I do? Or I have to say, what did I in the past? So thinking back a few years ago, I stored or saved the document on my PC. Then I had the point where I need some help, and then I sent this document via email to my colleagues, maybe to 3 of them. And I didn't think about what will be the result, so I got back 3 versions you should expect. But maybe some of my colleagues said, I can't answer this question, so I forward this email to another person and so on. So at the end, I get maybe 5 or 6 versions, and I don't know what's the right one. And now I have a boring job because I have to consolidate everything. So I have one single document again. This is the point where I say, okay, we need a central document location, and it would be great to send only a link to this document, and we can work together on this. Maybe we will create some tasks. So one colleague gets a task, please add some content at chapter 2. The other colleague gets the task, please have a review on my chapter 4. I've written something there, but I'm not sure if it's the correct pronouncing or whatever. Yeah, and so we can work together. And Microsoft Teams is cool because I have not only the document location, I have also the communication part. So I can chat with my colleagues about the different questions we have. And if one colleague says, yes, Nicole, that's nice that you thought I can answer this question, but I can't. And there's another person who can do this, then we can invite him to our team room and we can work very smoothly together. One other issue here, or one section of collaboration, is also about exchanging information, and this in different ways. So we have the ad hoc way, and my document use case was a little bit in this direction. So I have a question, I want to have an answer, so I can start a one-to-one chat, or I can have a group chat, or if it's related to tasks and documents and so on, then I would create a team room for this. And one other point is when I want to spread company-wide information, think about an intranet, then you should think about, is this some static information? So will I need an intranet maybe based on SharePoint, or is it more kind of a network? So maybe then Yammer would be really cool to use. Here, and then we go a little bit more in the direction of business processes. So managing tasks is everywhere, but in a business application, I have always this situation that somebody gets a task and we need to track the status. And sharing knowledge is one, I would say, a step further. So think about project work and you want to share your knowledge, or you want to save your knowledge. So for the next project, then maybe this is one. And supporting business processes, collaboration, I think it's all about business processes, because this is the main aspect in a company when we are working. So if you want to support business process, we have to think about it's a single simple process, or is it the whole business application? Where does it start and where does it end? And my customers think in big pictures. So they talk about a tool suite for HR, for example. And then they are telling me, I have this process and this one, and they're related to each other, and I need a huge tool. And then you do some requirements engineering, and then it takes a long time to collect all the requirements. And it takes a long time to build this business application. And while you are building this business application, your requirements change, because time flies and you have always a change of your requirements, not of all of them, but of some of them. And then you have also the issue, did you understand what the requirements were like? So you have some challenges. If you have a misunderstanding, you will see this at the point where you have the first version ready. Yeah, and why I love the Power Platform so much is that you can enable the persons who will give you the requirements to build the first version of the application. And then a developer or a technical consultant can extend this first version, because at some point you will say, I'm not sure if I want to get 100% of my requirements, I need some help, and then the other person can take what you already did and can build this for the complete solution. And what will we see in this session? We will see Microsoft Teams, because it's a hub for teamwork, and for me, for example, I'm using Teams the whole day, not only for the session today. So I start every morning with checking my notifications, I'm checking my tasks, and then I'm going through my different team rooms, and maybe I'm working on a document with some person, or on the other side, I'm talking to my customer, and we are discussing some ideas what we'll do next in our project, or some other cases, I'm calling my apps. For example, I have to track my work hours here for the different projects, and then I can enter this start there. SharePoint is behind Microsoft Teams, so we will see in the live demo also where to store our documents. We will use a Power App, which will be integrated in the team room. We need Power Automate, because we need to have a connection between our Power App and some functionality in SharePoint. And we will see how to extend our created flow with Planner so we can create tasks and track our issue. So I don't think I need to talk a lot about Microsoft Teams because most of you will use this in your daily business. Here only a few use cases. So as today we can use it for different events. We can collaborate with each other in an internal way. So for organizational units, for different teams, for project teams, but also with external users. And if you are collaborating with external users, then you only need to decide, should I create my team room in my tenant or in the tenant of the external users? We can do phone calls, video calls, and it's also available for digital learning. That's a special edition. And there are some different functionalities, but it's based on the version we all know, Microsoft Teams. Now we are coming here to our scenario. So I want to introduce you to Tanya. Tanya is one of my colleagues and one of my best friends. And Tanya is working for a special department, and they, for example, are writing our invoices. So I have an easy job. So I'm working as a consultant. I do my job, and I track my hours, so the effort in the different projects. And then Tanya has the job to create the invoices based on my input. And Tanya said to me in one of our meetings, Nicole, we need a business application. You have no idea what's going on in my daily business. So if you are working as a consultant, then you track your effort and you create a service report. And your customer signs the service report. In some cases, he is signing this directly. So I have a real paper there and it needs to be scanned. In some cases, Tanya gets the scan via email. Some other cases, she only gets an email that there is some mail, some real mail in her inbox in the office. And since Corona, she's not working in the office every day. So they have shifts of 2 weeks. So 2 weeks she's working in the office and the 2 other weeks she's working from home. And then she said, okay, if I get an email that there's something there on my desk in the office, I need to ask some of my colleagues to scan it, or it stays there for 2 weeks, or I need to go to the office when nobody of my department is there anymore. It's really hard. And to make it a little bit more complex, there's not only the way via mail or email, she also gets some information, for example, in a Teams chat. Hey, here's a link. I have stored it on a SharePoint site. You can get these service reports right there. Yeah. And now she needs to collect this different information, and she has this different ways to get the service reports, but she wants a standard way. She wants to have an easy life, that there's some automation. She's thinking about a business application. And then she said to me, yeah, Nicole, you talk so much about how to develop a solution. That's such an easy job, and maybe it's some fun for you. So can you build this business application for me? Please do this. You will make my life so much better. And then I say to her, I could do this, but the world has changed. So I don't think so that I will build a business application for you. Why are you doing this by your own? Because you can do this. And As I said, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so I'm only a little bit sorry. If you know Lord of the Rings, then you know this little hobbits here, and these hobbits are the heroes of the story. So at the beginning of the story, you don't think that they will be the heroes, but at the end, you know what they did. And I love this scene because they're standing there, everybody's taking a knee, and they don't realize what's going on there at the moment. And I think that most of us who are not so familiar with the software development and so on, they don't think what they can do. The Power Platform is dedicated for everybody, so everybody can build an app. Maybe not the complete business process you are thinking about, but you can make so many steps further and to support your business processes. And maybe for the first time, that's enough. Yeah, and if you think about the business process we want to support, we will, as I said, use the Power Platform for this. Not everything right there, so we won't use Power BI because that's the second step for me. We will not use Power Virtual Agents because that's not the use case of Tanya at the moment, maybe later if she gets the first version. And we will use the AI Builder because her scenario is in this kind, she gets service reports. And maybe as a scan, maybe not. In some cases, it's sent via email attachment. In some other cases, it's on a link. And she will say, oh, I will create this app. Everybody can use this app. And then there's no other way anymore. The AI Builder will get the information right off the documents. So about the demo scenario, before we go into the live environment. If you see an example of a service report, it can look like this. Could also look completely different, but I've chosen this layout for the service report. Then you will see, okay, I have some information like the creation date here on the top right corner. I have also some header information right here. So I see the contract number, I see the project name, and so on, and it ends up with the consultant name. And then I have a detailed table with the single entries. So as I said, I have to check my efforts in the different projects. That would be this information, and I have a total number of all my effort in this single project. And in my case, for example, I'm storing this as a PDF, and I send it to my customer. My customer signs it in a digital format, and then I could give it to Tanya. And now we will use the AI Builder. And I have here a few slides because I'm not sure every time the demo code is so right. So we will see this in a few slides at the moment. So step one is go to the Power Apps Studio, and there's a section for the AI Builder. And then say, okay, I want to create a new model. And we will create a model with the form processing option. That's the third one here in the first line. And then the first thing is to name your model. And as you can see, you will need 5 documents at a minimum, and they should have the same layout because that's an AI model we create, and we need to train it so it has to learn that the creation date, for example, is at the top right corner, that the total is at the bottom right corner of our detail table and so on. And if you use different layouts, then it's so much harder for the model to understand what you are looking for. So please think about the same layout. And you need this minimum of 5 documents because otherwise you have also a gap to learn or to train this model, I have to say. So if we have named our model, then the next one is that we need to to define what we are looking for. So we will need our documents and to upload them. You see a little preview here. And in one of the last steps, and that's where I will go to my demo tenant, is you need to help the model first where this information is located and what you are looking for, because in some cases you are not interested in special information of your service report, and you can decide what you want to know later on. At the end, if you have created your model, then you will be able to use this in Power App and also in a flow based on Power Automate. Have a look how it's going in the real life. So I will go here to my demo environment. It's loaded. That's nice. So as you can see, I've done a few steps here. So in the first step, I thought, okay, I'm interested in the contract number, the customer name. I want to get the decision maker or project number and so on. So that's the information I want to have. And I also want to get the information of the detail table here, and I called it effort details. So I only decide what is my model all about. Then I uploaded my documents. And here in this third step, I see my 5 documents because I only use the minimum of 5 at the moment. If you would upload more, then you would have all these documents also there. And now I have to check for every document if it understands it right. So if you start with this and you have your first document, there's no plan what's about with the contract number and so on. Here now I'm in the second document and he knows, okay, this line here, that's the contract number. If I click on this, it says, okay, that's the contract number. He knows that this one is the creation date, what we have here, the total effort, and so on. And I got one problem in my real life scenario, because in real life, the lines were a little bit too close to each other. And then he didn't recognize that this is the consultant name, for example. And then you can do this. So you use here the drag and drop function. You mark what you're looking for, and then you recognize, okay, this one should be the information. And then you can decide which field should be. So I did this, and then you go through the different documents, you get the information, and at the end you say, okay, I'm fine with this. You get a summary of the whole visit process. You know this from a visit, how it's going. And then you need to publish your model. And I will show you how you will find this. So here we are in the Power Apps Studio. You have the AI Builder section, and you start with build, as we said or saw in the slides. So we have here the form processing. And if you go through the wizard, at the end, you will see this line, and you see your service report model here in the moment, and it will not be published by default. So you have to go on your model page, and then you will have a button, publish. If you do this, then you can go here and click on use model next. Then, as you can see here, there's the documentation linked in. You can use this in Power Automate or Power Apps. I decided to use this in Power Apps because I want to create a scan app. I want to say, okay, dear consultant or dear project manager, please use this new Power App and scan your service report. So you don't need to send it to Tanya anymore. Tanya said to me, okay, I understand. Creating an AI model is only going through a wizard. So I need to get some service reports. She had enough of them. I have to say. She uploaded them, she trained the model, and she said, I'm collecting this different information because, for example, the creation date is important that I can sort it later on in my list. And then I can go through that and maybe I will work on these ones who are from the last months, and my colleague or maybe an apprentice will go and work on in the next months because there's more time to do this, because she needs to have an idea what's going on. Yeah, and so she said, okay, I'm fine. I created the model. Now we need to create the Power App. And then you go here to apps. You can create a new Canvas app. And she did this, so she created the service report scan app. And I'll show you what she did there. So I say edit. It's loading. And as you can see, she did not so much right there. So she has a success screen. That's after doing the scan. She has a scan screen. And I think this screen one was a try. So she was checking something, but I don't think that she will do anything with this in the app for the end user. And what's about the scan screen? That's the first screen on the Power App. So if you start with an empty Canvas app, you have only one screen. She renamed it by going here on the 3 dots and click on rename. And she did this for some of the components here, but not to all of them. And I see this quite often. So if you start using Power Apps and you are not a software developer, for example, then you may only go here on insert and you add the different components, and then they are called like this: button 1, label 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to know what's going on, so think about you need to adjust the app a few months later and you have no idea what's label 4, then maybe it would be a good idea to say, okay, label 4, that's the project label. As you can see here in the middle, but the project here is highlighted. So here, then I know what's about this this component here. Yeah, and so it's a little bit better for maintenance use. Yeah, and what did she do? She did not do so much stuff. So she added this component. That's the AI builder form processing component. And as you go from the AI model, as we saw, use the model, then the form processor component would be included here in your app by default. You can do this also from every other app and include this here, because as you can see in the properties window here, you need to choose your AI model. As you can see, we had 3 models in the list if you are going to the AI builder, and now we have only 2 there because you only will see the items or the models which are published. So, but I have chosen this one here, and I have not to do anything else. I have my labels, and this form processor component is called scanner. I go back to this, so you need to see the highlight here on scanner. And I have here my labels, so I say, okay, I'm interested in scanner.fields, because that's a field. There are only fields and tables. And I'm interested in a special field, and I want to see the consultant. And because I want to know that this is the consultant, I did a concatenate function and said, okay, I want to start with a label consultant and then the right name of the consultant. And here it's similar. It's a little bit more complex because I did a concatenate of the project number and the project name. The total, that's the same. So the table here is a little bit more interesting because there I'm going with scanner tables. And in this model I'm using here For the demo purpose, I didn't name it in the correct way. So think about every detail, as we saw in the AI builder. This could be also the name here. And then he gets all the fields which I designed in the AI model. And here are the different ones. And I said, okay, I want to have date, milestone, description, the level, and the effort right here. I could also remove something. I can change the order. You see this directly here. So I go with date right back here. But that's only for the purpose somebody uploaded or scanned the document, because I can use this app mobile and also on a desktop, so via the browser, for example. And then I see a preview of my data, so I can check this. And at the end, I will click on Share with Team. And Share with Team could be a synonym for Share with Tanya, because Tanya gets the information after this. And if I share this with the team, then a flow will run. And if we have a look here, my flow is called Upload Service Report. And now he gets different information. So as we were using this in the different labels, we can also push this to the flow. That's contract number, customer, and so on. I can also do some converts. So I want to have a real date value, because I have a datetime field in my my document library. And then I need the original image. That's the service report itself, so the file I'm scanning there. Yeah, and then I run this flow. And we will have a look on this flow. Maybe I'm going here to this one. We go to Power Automate. So, come on, my flows. And here is the one. So, and that's not so much also, because I have the Power Apps trigger. There's nothing else I need to do there. I have a create file action. So I want to store my document in a special SharePoint site in the document library for service reports. And the file name should be asked for in Power Apps. And this is my first parameter I have here. The next one would be the file content. I thought about, I'm pushing the original image value to my flow. So maybe I could collect this directly here, but he didn't do this. So I needed a compose action. And I transferred it to a binary here at the moment. And at the end, I also doing an update. So I needed a lot of properties, because Tanya hates to open every document to get the information, like the contract number or the project number and so on. So I said, okay, I will push this here as a different property. And as you can see, these are the parameters right here. Okay, that's it. How does it look like if we test our app? So think about the Power App here itself. I'm doing this via my browser. I click on Analyze. Maybe I'm collecting Eve Morning here. He's analyzing this, and I know that the preview here is very small. But what you will see is that he also tells us how sure he is that he got the right data. So you see a lot of 100% here. And we see our preview here with the different data. And then I can say, okay, share this with the team. The flow will be triggered. And we should move to the success screen. I hope so. Yeah. Okay. And then I say, okay, everything's fine. I can do this with the next document and so on. So maybe if I'm working as a project manager and I have service reports of my different team members, then I can do this one after the other. But this is only the way I also have these documents on my PC. If I want to collect a picture, then I would use this app on my tablet or maybe on my smartphone. This will also work. And last but not least, Tanya said, okay, I have this app, but maybe we will go one step further. I create a team room. It's called Service Report Management. I have a general channel for myself because I want to tell some general information. I want to help the other people with some questions, but I have a channel for the service report again, so it's dedicated for the consultants and project managers. And you see here these service reports. That's a special library. If we open this in SharePoint, see here, she created some views. So this one, for example, is the default one, and she said, okay, I want to group it by the project number because I'm responsible for this project number, and one of my colleagues will work on this project number. And here are the different information. You also see this morning our uploaded document here. And then you can use standard SharePoint functionality to go with different views. Maybe you want to create another flow, what's going on when this library gets a new document, or you extend it here in this flow itself, because you can also go with a new step, and maybe you want to create a new task in Planner. That would be also possible, because if you go back to the team room, we have also a Planner plan here. So maybe here would be a new task, maybe assigned to Tanya or maybe to somebody else. Maybe you will create this task and also post a message here in the chat. This would be also possible. And so, as you can see, there are a lot of different options what we can do. And if we go back to slides, so because it's time to wrap up, if you go back here to the slides, think about, I know this is a small scenario and it's very small, but for Tanya, it's so much more, because now she can say, okay, my colleagues have to use this app. It gets a lot easier. She doesn't have to talk with everybody, which way do you use for your service reports and so on, and nobody can say that's more complex for himself, because I have the scan option, I have the upload option, and I have not to send Tanya any messages anymore, because she gets every information right off the system. And if you think about different processes where you need some documents, where you need some communication, so you can build this, and it all starts with you. So take responsibility, be a maker. Think about your daily challenges and what you can do. Maybe you will build flow, your first flow to support an approval process or so, something like this. So learn to use the tools of the Power Platform. For example, I started with Power Apps, and then I made it to the Power Automate. Some other people start with Power Automate, and you saw how easy it is to build an AI model to have some form processing. So integrate it in your process right there. Create a quick win solution. So don't start with a huge business application, because as we saw, we have little examples where we can start, and integrate it into teams so everybody can access it without switching to another environment. And then, because it's boring to be alone on this journey, inspire your colleagues, talk to other people, because if you build a team and a team starts with 2 persons, then it gets so much fun. So you talk to your team members, and you talk about what you learned, or you talk about a problem, and then you will solve this problem together. That will be so easy. And share your knowledge and talk about what you are doing, because then your community gets bigger and bigger. And I think there will be a lot of business processes which can be improved by you. First, thank you. And are there any questions?
Hello. Yeah, awesome. Is there any questions for Nicole there in the room? We'll start in the room. If there is, I can try and throw a microphone at you and not hit you in the face. Okay, no questions in the room. If you do have questions in the remote audience, if you raise your hand, we will try and see if this works. It should work now. We should have fixed all the snags. If you do have any questions, raise your hand in the meeting or in the room. Oh, yeah, we've got a question. I'm going to be brave. Is the Catchbox mic on, Julian? Could have thrown it better.
What do you do about discovering the capabilities within Power Apps? So how do you know what the components are, what the inputs and outputs are for each component? That's what I found to be most difficult by using it.
Oh my God, my echo. Oh my God, that's a little bit confusing. Okay, that's better. I think you asked about how did I learn the different components, so input and output, how should I use them?
Yes.
To be honest, I was exploring a lot of stuff at the beginning, and then I was using the tutorials here on Microsoft Learn. So I went through the different chapters, and I have to tell that I love this to explore it by my own. So I had a lot of frustrating moments, I have to say, because I didn't get an idea how to use the AI builder components, for example, because they were not so easy, because you see this in the Power App Studio. You're building your app, and if you have no idea that there is something like an AI model, and you get the idea what you need to do there. But I also using YouTube a lot of, because if you see a short video tutorial, and it depends, because you learn what you need to look for on Google, for example. So you learn which words you have to enter, and then the video tutorials are really great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this still on? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Any other questions? Any questions from the remote people, Michael? No. Okay. Awesome. We'll just say goodbye to the remote attendees.